Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. So first of all, I'd like to dedicate tonight's shiur. Thank you. Leilui Nishmat, my first cousin once removed, is my uncle was Yosef Dadon, Shalom ben Yosef Dadon. תהיה נשמתו צרורה בצרור החיים, בצרור החיים, ברוך השם תניחנו בגן עדן, amen. And also dedicated shiur לעילוי נשמת רבקה בת שינה. זיכרונה לברכה.
Also, Rabbi, to
please, the name?
Name is Lili Nishmat Nava Tova.
Nava Tova.
But Yoshua Yisrael Leib.
Nava Tova Bat Yeshua Yisrael Leib.
Then the Shloshim is on Shabbat.
Okay, so this shiur Torah that we're studying tonight together, Bezrat Hashem will be Leilui Nishmat for them as well, and להבדיל חיים טובים, רפואה שלמה for all of Am Yisrael, especially for Gabriela Naomi, Bat Leah Malka, Elisheva, Bat Sheva, Bat Rivka, Tigom Shni, Bat Rosette, and Yael and Leah, Bat Rosette. כלנה רפואה עליהם, רפואת גוף, רפואת הנשמה, רפואה קרובה לבוא. So tonight we're studying Parashat Yitro. Yitro, the famous convert of Am Yisrael. And begs the question is, why is it a name of the parasha named after Yitro? We don't have a parasha named after Yaakov or Moshe or Aharon or Miriam. And what gives the great privilege and kavod for Yitro that he names the parasha is named after him? I'd like to welcome Yaakov for joining us. Welcome. So let's just explain the background of who was Yitro. The first pasuk introduces him as Yitro Kohen Midian, which basically means he was the priest of Midian. He was like the Pope, the Archbishop. He said that he knew all of the Avodah Zarah and he did all of them. And he left all his Avodah Zarah to come and join the Jewish nation. He saw the truth in Am Yisrael. He saw the miracles that happened to them, and actually saw all the fakeness of all of the other religions. Maybe I mentioned the information before. I heard from Rav Zamir Cohen. He said there's a great rabbi in Yerushalayim called Rabbi Yaakov Adis. He's son of the famous Rav Yehuda Adis. He's a big gaon, a big tzaddik. He walks around in the kotel, always screaming teilot. He's a big mekubal. So a few years ago, he wrote a book in Hebrew, disproving all the religion, all the Christianity religion, like from the scriptures of the Testament. And someone took his book and translated it into Italian, and they sent it to the Vatican. The Pope. I don't know, this is going back maybe 10 years. I don't know exactly the time period. Something like that. And he got a letter back, the Pope himself, saying about all this disproving the whole Christianity, that it's given me new insight, something along the lines of like, it's given me a new way of looking at life and a new understanding. And he wrote some like very extreme terminology of how it's just rewired his thinking. Now, I don't know if it was related to that event or not, but several weeks later, the Pope resigned from his position. This is like a famous outbreak. I don't know if the two were connected, but the Pope resigned. And that's like a big shock to all of Christianity. That's like the peak and the epitome, like every priest wants to be the Pope, yeah? And he just resigned from his position based on doubts of the faith and didn't feel like he was worthy of leading the Christianity. Now, maybe that was related, I don't know. However, that is what Yitro did. He stepped down from his position and he said, this is all a load of rubbish. This is Avodah Zarah, what we're serving here. And he was a priest. He was like very honorable position. question and what I want to face you, Mr. So you can imagine it wasn't just like the Pope saying I'm resigning. It was like standing in front of everyone and telling them that what we believe in or what you believe in until now, it's not the truth. That's what Yitro did. That takes a lot of courage, right? So that makes sense, why he got the privilege of having the name of the parasha named after him. But the next question, which I want to ask you one more time, is that somebody that goes along with the truth of God, how would you expect his life to continue? You expect him to be blessed or go through suffering? Yitro, he was, what's the word? He was like cast off by all the population around him. No one wanted to speak to him. No one wanted to talk to him. Even his daughters, when they went to feed their sheep, water, none of the shepherds would let them get anywhere near until Moshe had to come and let them go and give the girls to drink. So why was he excommunicated? Right? He was taken off like all of the WhatsApp groups and all the Facebooks and deleted. Why does he have to go through that humiliation? You would expect him maybe to become more popular, maybe to become more wealthy, and maybe go to shower him with like blessing, maybe have some boys. We only had girls that deal with sheep. So how do you explain that? And maybe you find it sometimes, you see a person, he's successful and he's not religious, and then he becomes religious, and sometimes he's, it's a difficult situation. You expect God to be with him even more. So where was God with Yitro when Yitro came after the truth?
Well, he gave him Moshe's Khatan. I don't understand.
Oh, so excellent. So this is what Gilad is saying. You got to look at the whole picture, right? So everyone laughed at him and excommunicated him. And he had to take his girls, and what happened? Because of that, it was literally because of that he had the son-in-law was the greatest man in Am Yisrael. Right? He was the father-in-law of the king. That's what we're talking about here. So he was like maybe the highest position that he could have possibly reached in Judaism was Yitro. And that's because he went with his truthfulness and with his faith.
And is also his grandson is Pinchas.
Again,
who is Pinchas? His grandson is how Pinchas?
Yeah. Through the mother. Yeah. One of the other daughters also married into the family overall. So grandfather of Pinchas, father of Moshe Rabbeinu. And he was gifted, and now all thanks to his daughters being excommunicated, because if they were welcomed to the well, they would have taken the water and gone home, never met Moshe Rabbeinu. It was only because they had that trouble at the well that Moshe came to save them. Then they said, okay, Moshe, come home, we'll give you food, we'll give you drink, and then they end up marrying his daughter. So sometimes you see, what God puts you out through life is really a blessing in disguise. But what you have to go is you have to go with the truth all the way. And now I would like to share with you some great stories. Following story about somebody who went truthful all the way. He was working in an office, and he wasn't religious, and he started learning about Torah and going to shiurim and learning what's right, what's wrong, what's right. And he wasn't like a bad person. He was like a normal person. And then he had the shiur about gezel, stealing, right? One of the 10 commandments in this week's parasha as well. And then the rabbi was telling him, stealing doesn't just mean you go into a shop and you walk out without paying, right? Or you go into someone's handbag, or you rob a house or a bank. Stealing is even stealing from your boss. If you check in at a time when you're not working, that's stealing, right? You've checked in. First you check in, then you go park your car, yeah? Or you don't check out when you go out for lunch. You go out for a break and you're still getting paid for the hours where you're away on your lunch break. Yeah, or you go out for an hour for the gym and then you check out. You have been working for an hour. You're getting paid for the extra hour for not doing any work. Who's going to catch you? Maybe nobody. But God knows you've taken money that doesn't rightfully belong to you. And when he heard this shiur, it occurred to him that what he was doing and what was defined as acceptable amongst his companions and co-workers was, in fact, going against one of the 10 Commandments. Is literally stealing. You know, in the world society we live today, that people use different words for stealing. They call it, in effect.
Fraud.
Yeah, but there's like more cleaner terms of misuse of money, or no right for that.
Deceit being deceitful. I'm not sure.
I don't know what it's like, but I mean, like in this country, you do things a lot in b'shachor, which means you don't do it by the books. You do it under the table, right? You do things quietly, and filling up what you need, basically paying back for what you need. But really, it's not what it rightfully belongs to you. So he decided, listen, I've been doing this for a while now, and I want to come clean. Listen, if I'm going with the truth, and I decide the Torah is right, and this is what the Torah says, even though it might be socially acceptable, but if the Torah doesn't accept it as being right, I don't want to be doing it. And in fact, I've been taking money which is not mine. So he went to his rabbi, and he asked Rabbi, give me advice. What should I do? I have a job. I have a good job. I'm happy in my job. I do good job, good work. I get paid, but I've been doing this dodgy checking in time when I haven't been working. Okay, and let's say there was a period for like 3 years. He said, if I come clean and I tell my boss, he will literally fire me. He's a violent man. It's not acceptable. He's not a understanding kind of person. It's not a person like you can talk to. But on the other hand, if I don't tell him, basically, then I've just been stealing. He gave me a different solution. What should I do? And the rabbi says, you have to remember who you're working for. There's one boss in the world. You might be working for someone who gives you your paycheck. But there's one person there's one boss in the world, and that is Hashem. And he decides what money you get, and he gave you the job, and he'll give you a different job. He said, you don't have to be afraid. And I'm sure, even if he's not usually a kind person, but maybe he'll be understanding. Try and make an estimate. Tell him you want to pay back. You come in clean. People appreciate honesty and integrity. And see it. And worst comes to worst, you've done your part. And don't worry, God will repay you. So one day he got the courage. He said he did the maths beforehand. For a period of 3 years, for an hour a day maximum, he worked out basically the basic figure was an X amount. He walked into the boss one day, caught him off after his lunch. He had his meal, he was quiet, relaxed. Good part, always catch the boss after the lunch, yeah. And
Joe, can you please mute? Joe.
Thank you. Where was I up to? He called the boss. He walks in and he tells him, listen, this is how it's been happened. It's for the past 3 years. Can't tell exactly how much it's been, but my estimate is in between, let's say, this figure and this figure. If you want to meet halfway, or if you want to pay the maximum, maybe you want to come a little bit towards me because I'm not sure how much the figure is, but I want to pay you what's rightfully yours. I'm happy with the job. I'm happy with my work. I'm happy with the boss, but I want to come clean. I've been studying Torah. I've been going to the shurim. I think this is what the right thing to do is, and please will you accept me that I'm paying you back while I unrightfully took from you. And the boss was listening, and then there was an awkward period of silence where the boss was totally in shock. And he looks at him and he said, I never imagined that you would do that. I suspected everybody, but apart from you, I thought I could really rely on you and be honest and trustworthy. And then he said, but now that you've come forward, I can be certain that I can rely on you. So until now, I thought I could, but now I'm sure I can. And I've been looking for somebody to take over my position. And I want somebody to be overlooking and be in charge. So first of all, I will be mochel the chov. I will delete the debt.
Wait.
I will waive the debt. You can keep all that money. Not only that, I want you to be able to, I know I can trust you, I want you to take over my position. And you're going to have a company car, a phone, laptop, and a raise for your honesty. And thank you for coming forward. And that's just the story that happened, that you can see somebody who goes and be honest, you go all the way. You have nothing to be scared of. You're doing the right thing and there's nothing to go wrong with that. And you see here, okay, he got paid back. And we all need to have that courage to learn from this story of Yitro, where he said, listen, I'm giving up a position where I've got the house and people come and worship me and I'm the leader over here. And then suddenly he's like thrown to the curb and he's become, worse than the most simple person in the whole community. And what comes back? At the end, he becomes father-in-law of Moshe Rabbeinu, who's like the king of Am Yisrael and grandfather of Pinchas. Another story was of a factory company which used to make toilet paper. And there's also a story from Rav Zemeir Cohen. And each roll of paper, each roll of toilet paper has 1,000 meters. That was like the company, how they used to sell the roll. Now, no one has to take measure and start measuring toilet paper, yeah? No one measures how many meters really is, but the company claims that there's 1,000. So the owner of the factory decided, let's make a simple calculation. If instead of giving 1,000 meters for each roll, if I give it, let's say 950, so no one's going to notice, it's still the thickness about the same, and if that's every roll, if I make, a calculation of every 100 rolls or every 1,000 or every 10,000, I'm making in a couple of extra thousands of dollars a month, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands a year. So he decided to do that. Took on, and similar story, he was sitting in a class one day, and he was told about the grave sin of stealing or deceiving. And he decided, he started sweating. He said, listen, what am I doing? There's like thousands of people that have been just like stealing and giving them, I'll give them 1,000 meters, and really I've only given them 950. And I haven't been caught yet, but God sees what I'm doing, right, I'm doing wrong. And he could carry on and reap in an extra thousands of dollars a month. So he decided he's going to come clean. Now, he's got a problem with it because even if he starts now doing 1,000 meters and being accurate, how is he going to make up for all what he stole? So he goes to ask advice from his chacham. The rabbi asked him, tell me, your clients, do people buy the same brand every time? You're happy with your brand, you buy it and you're regular, or people, every time buy something else, whatever's on offer. So he said, listen, most people, if they're happy with it, then they're a regular customer. You buy it, you're happy with it, Huggies, you buy it, you continue with it. That's the brand that you like, you continue with it. So he said, if that's the case, so it's an easy solution, let's say if you've been dodging around for 2 years. So for the next 2 years, instead of giving 1,000, give 1,050. Add the extra 50 meters. That way you've given back from the 2 years that you've taken, you give back to most of your clients. And whatever's left, give a bit extra for tzedakah. That's the most you can do, but at least you've tried and you've showed Hashem that you want to do teshuvah. So in this story, there's no boss which comes and pays you back. But Hashem knows how to pay back everybody. Okay? And for a period of 2 years, he was, losing money in a sense, because it's only those extra meters, that's where your profit is, right? That, cost you money to make, cost you so far. And only those extra meters is where you're making money. And now, instead of having 1,000, he's giving out extra free. So he's even like taking a loss back in his income. But there was a company in America, what's it called, Watchdog, that they try and find out businesses which dodge people. Right? No one goes out and counting, how much is each in each packet. And they went around checking the toilet paper, measuring each roll, how many meters was actually in each roll. So they took all the famous companies that were selling it, and they said, this company, they say they're selling 1,000 meters a roll, but really it's only 980. And this company says 1,000, but it's only 940. This one says 1,000, and they really sell 1,000. But there's one company of this Jew that they say they're selling 1,000 and they're giving 1,000 meters and 50. And that was the article that they wrote about the toilet paper on this watchdog. And immediately after that, you see, everyone went to buy that toilet paper and everyone switched. And there was an extreme rise in the sales. And it's the same motto and the same message over here. That sometimes you feel like maybe you're losing out. If you're doing the right thing, you never lose out. And we have the emunah and faith in God. Hashem will be able to repay us back for doing the right thing. No one ever loses from that. And there's many such similar stories. One about there was a girl. Also she was becoming more religious, and she said that she wanted to start dressing in a way that was more modest and very unacceptable in her crowd where she was. All the girls go with trousers and other clothes, and which is not so modest, and she wanted to be modest. And she decided, okay, I might lose one or two friends, but if this is what the right thing to do is, this is what I'll do. So she decided she's going to dress more tzanua, more modestly. And then she was approached by one of the young bachelors in the community. And they met each other, they started dating, and they got married. And he said, I've always noticed you, but I wasn't really interested because of the way you dressed. But, once you became dressing more modestly, I said, this is the type of girl I want. I knew that you had the good character and you had Yirat Shamayim, but the only thing that was missing was the way you were dressing. And then she realized, what she was pushing off for a period of time because of what her friends would think. So maybe her friends thought she was a bit less cool, but she ended up finding her partner for life and her husband. And Hashem paid her back. And if she would have carried on her way, she would have never met her husband. And there's a lot of, works the other way as well. And the message is the person doesn't lose out from going in the right way. The next parasha, the episode in this week's parasha after Yitro, is the 10 Commandments. And the 10 Commandments were written on 2 tablets of stone. They were not rounded, but they're totally square, right? The design of the rounded commandments of the 2 tablets, it doesn't have really a Jewish makor in Chazal. It's by a non-Jewish artist, impressionist. He wrote the heart. But halachically, you can keep it up and you don't need to take it down. Even though it shouldn't really be up in the synagogues or in shuls, but once it's up, we don't take it down. But I did see a reason why they used to do it with like, it's like a heart shape on top of the luchot. The pasuk says in Shir Hashem, "Kachatam al luach libecha." Luach libecha is the board of your heart. The luach, as in the luchot, the tablets of your heart. Like you should be set on your heart. So these 2 tablets had 5 commandments on each side. 10 commandments, 5 on one side and 5 on the other side. And the first 5, and we'll just do a quick recap of the 10 commandments this week's parasha. First commandment is, Anochi Hashem Elokecha. I'm the Lord your God. I'm the one who took you out of Mitzrayim. There is the first commandment. Second commandment is, Lo yeh lecha elokim achrim. Don't have any other gods. The third commandment is, don't say God's name in vain. Don't swear falsely. Don't use his name in vain. Number 4. Who knows number 4?
Shabbat.
Shabbat, the 4th commandment. There is Shabbat. 5th commandment.
Kibud
Avim, honoring your parents. So all that's on the first 5. And it's very long psukim. There's like 11 psukim just on the first 5, and they're all written. Now in Shul, when you see it, just says like 2 words. Zachor et Shabbat, kabed avicha, but really, it had the whole psukim written in the actual tablets of stone. Now, both tablets were the same size, but on the left side was not kill, lo tirtzach, lo tin'af, don't commit adultery, lo tignov, don't steal, don't testify falsely, velo tachmod, don't be jealous of your friend's house and his car and his wife and his animals. Now the two sides, maybe this is important to say, the two tablets were the same size of a stone, but there was much more words on the right-hand side than on the left-hand side. Now, what is the reason for that? If you can imagine that the Gemara says that the letters in the tablets were hollow, and they took up the space that there was there. So if you imagine on the right-hand side was all the long list of the first 5, which is basically between man and God. Shabbat, don't have any other gods, don't use my name in vain. Those were all many, many letters and very small. But on the other side, which is Ben Adam al Chavero, the mitzvot of between you and your friend, don't steal, don't be unmatched, don't be jealous, don't testify falsely. All of these lists, they were in big letters. And that is to show you really what's the main part of the Torah, is to be a good person with other people. That is really what's important for our Kadosh Baruch Hu. The pasuk says in Tehillim Tetvav. Mizmor Hashem, mi yagur bo'alecha. Who can come close to Hashem? Who's going to live in the Har Kodeshecha? Olech tamim u'poel tzedek. Someone who goes truthfully, v'dover emet bilbabo, and he goes poel tzedek. He does rightfully, and he goes with the truth in his heart. And then the pasuk in Tehillim carries on telling us who is the one who reaches the highest level closeness to God. It doesn't say somebody who prays a long time, maybe somebody who studied Torah for a long time, somebody who does all mitzvot. You know what it says? I'll read that to you.
Is it someone who's modest?
Can you speak up, Joe, please?
Is it someone who's modest?
So I'm going to read out the pasuk. The pasuk says it's the person.
11. Yeah, the 11 attributes. Yeah.
Pasuk Perek Tetvav.
Yeah, these are the 11. Yeah, the 11 of David. Yeah.
So all of the list of the Perek Tehillim is all the mitzvot of how a person relates to his friend. Friendships, relationships, families. Lo ragal leshono, he didn't speak badly. Lo asa l'ra'eh ra, he didn't do anything bad to his friend. Cherpa lo asa l'kirbo, he didn't shame him. Yivzeh be'enav, he must have the Yitirei Hashem yechabed, he honored people who were God-fearing. Kaspo lo natan beneshech, he didn't give out money with interest. Shachad lo al naki, lo lakach oseh lo yimot le'olam. This is a person who's blessed. And the same thing was also the Navi Yeshaya, when he says that when Am Yisrael sinned, and Hashem said, I'm not going to listen to your prayers anymore. Don't give me any more of your offerings. I don't want any of your tzedakot. I'm not going to. Why? And the Navi says in Yeshaya very clearly in the first parak, is because you haven't behaved rightfully or justly between each other. And when we become all good people, and this is really the main part of studying the Torah, and this is why I'm saying it here on the Seret HaDibot, why they're all in large, big letters. Because that's really the main purpose of the Torah. Why are we studying the Torah and come here every Thursday night is to learn how to become better people. When we study the Torah, we become better Jews. We improve ourselves. We become closer to perfection of the human character traits. This is what God creates us for. And that is Yisrael ki b'chayit pa'ar. God takes glory and pride in us when we do this. And that's what we're supposed to be, a light to the nations. We're supposed to show them in the right way how to behave. Now I want to talk about specifically about Shabbat, the fourth commandment. Torah tells us, Zachor et yom HaShabbat lekadsho. Remember the day of Shabbat to make it holy. What does it mean make it holy? How do you make the day holy? How do you make the day holy? What's holy than more than any other days? You want to say something, Gilad? Yeah?
Oh, it's that this man is separate from the rest of the week. That's meaning.
Yes, separate, exactly. Like Kiddushay Isha. When you mekadesh a woman, what do you make? What's Kiddushin? Kupa.
Separated.
You separated it and you designated it. Not only separated it, but made it special. And it's more special than all the other days. You do all the work for 6 days. On Shabbat, you rest. Yom HaShvi Shabbat LaHashem. Lo taseh kol melacha. You, your family, your son, your daughter, your wife. Nobody does melacha on Shabbat. Even amatecha, be'emtecha, ve'gerecha, asher b'sharecha. Even your animals. Ki sheshet yamim asa Hashem et hashamayim v'aretz. Because God created the world, heaven and earth, and seas in 6 days, and on the seventh day he rested. And the Pasuk says, Al ken berech Hashem et yom HaShabbat ve'ikadishehu. God designated this day and made it special, and that's why he blessed this day. And that's why the day of Shabbat is the blessed day, and that's the Makor HaBracha. Shabbat is the Makor HaBracha. Ki kidashto b'kol hayamim. Okay. Just want to remind everyone to mute, please. So I want to explain what is Shabbat, that it's Makor HaBracha. Where does all the bracha come from Shabbat? All right. It more makes sense, when I go to work, I make money. I don't work, I don't make money. So how is Shabbat going to bring me money? How is Shabbat going to bring me bracha? So first I'm going to introduce a little bit about the story from Rabbi Netanel Dadoun. Rabbi Netanel Dadoun was one of the great leaders in Yerushalayim, great rabbi. And he told the story of his great-grandfather, was the Radbaz. Radbaz, he had a kind of clinical death where his soul left his body, and then came back. He was like clinically dead, and then basically came back to life. Right there, you can have, these people now, he said that they've happened to them, they imagine, themselves leave their body and go up. There's many people telling these experiences, I heard somebody telling me that they had this experience, and they told me what they saw, and they said they had to come back down. So he tells the story of the Radbaz, the following story. Radbaz, he said that he left his body and went up to heaven and died. And he said to them, listen, I'm too young to die. I need to carry on living. He said, yeah, everyone says that, but your time has come and we're taking you now. And he started pleading with them. He said, listen, I've got wife and kids, I've got children, I have to look after them. He said, there's no reason for you to come back now. He said, but listen, I have to write a commentary on the Talmud Yerushalmi. The whole Talmud, all of the Gemara Yerushalmi, the Radbaz wrote a pirush, a commentary on it, and it's printed on the Yerushalmi that we have today. He said, listen, I have to finish the commentary. Please, in the merit that I'm working on this commentary, give me back a few more years of life. And he said, no, we don't need you to do that. Someone else can write it. So he says, listen, I've got another claim. I have a charity fund. I help orphans and widows and support them. I arrange for the money, I go collecting for them, I give out money to the charity. For the chesed, this merit of the chesed, please let me come back down. And they said, okay, let's make a calculation. They came back to him and they said, listen, that's not enough. Don't worry, you'll get rewarded for that. You'll get all the reward for what you've done. It's a very good, worthy cause. You'll get rewarded for it and also for writing your commentary, but you can't go back down. It does not give you extra life. And then he said, listen, okay, give me one last chance, okay? He said, Shabbat. In the merit of Shabbat, I give kavod to Shabbat. And I prepare everything for Shabbat. And everything is ready early on Thursday night. Already set the table on for Shabbat, already on Thursday night. I get the food ready, the shopping ready. I get my clothes. I do my best clothes I wear on Shabbat. The best food was on Shabbat. I really mechabed the Shabbat. And they had a look. And they said, really, at that time, there was nobody in the world who was mechabed the Shabbat like the Radbaz. That he already came early for Shabbat. He used to go early to shul. People, they come out of the shower, go to shul, their hair still wet when they're walking into shul. Yeah? But he used to come in early for Shabbat. And they said, because you bring in Shabbat early and everything is ready in your house early for Shabbat, you're going to go back down. Which means writing the commentary on the Talmud Yerushalmi, that wasn't worth enough. The charity that he was doing chesed, it wasn't worth enough. Only Shabbat, that's what he can bring down. That was the makor of Rabbi Netanel Dadoun by his grandfather. And another thing that Arizal says, Ariya Kadosh, he says, if a couple didn't have children, they want to school up for children, he says that they should just receive Shabbat earlier. Bring in a few minutes earlier of Shabbat. That's all you need, just to bring in Shabbat earlier. What is so special about Shabbat? That is the makor HaBracha. And how He says you have to mechabed the Shabbat, ma'aneged the Shabbat. What do we do? So you do what you enjoy. No. They said the mitzvah to eat fish on Shabbat, but you don't have to eat fish. If you don't like fish, don't eat fish. If you like fish, then buy the best fish for Shabbat. Or the best meat. When you want to have a good meal, what do you have at home? That's what you have on Shabbat. And even the Baba Sali, his wife, she made him a special cooked dish. He didn't want to eat it. You know, it was like newlywed. Can you still hear me? Have I lost the connection?
Yes.
Yeah,
No.
No, it's fine.
We can hear you.
Okay, so continue.
No.
So he said, please take away this food. And, you know, his wife, she's newlywed, doesn't understand you. You don't like my food? It's not good enough. He says, no, this is very delicious. This is even too much delicious for weekday. I'm only going to have it on Shabbat. Special food and keep it for me for Shabbat. That was the Baba Sali. But everybody can honor the Shabbat by having a special food and clothes. How do you dress on Shabbat? How would you dress when you're going to a wedding? That's how you're dressing on Shabbat. You put on your best clothes. You're going to a function, you dress well. That's how you dress for Shabbat. And even if you're at home, you know, so you're not going, you're in, somebody's in quarantine, or they're not going to go to shul, or they're not eating out. They're eating at home. There's no reason to be in your pajamas on Shabbat. At least for when you're at the table, dress for the Sudat Shabbat, for Kiddush. Afterwards, yeah, put on your pajamas, go to bed and have a rest. Be relaxing clothes. But respect the Shabbat and putting in your best clothes. You don't put it for going out. You put it on honor of the Shabbat. The best food, the best clothes. You put on a tablecloth on the Shabbat. You set the table with the best cutlery and tableware. So I want to explain, what does the Zohar say when the Zohar says that the Parnasah, the Mokar Bracha is Shabbat? Oh, maybe let me explain something first. The Kiddush is and the Hadlakat Nerot is mandatory on the man and the woman the same. Even women light the candles for Shabbat and men make the Kiddush. But if a woman is on her own, she makes Kiddush as well. And if a man is on his own, he lights candles as well. It's mandatory on everyone. What is the reason for so much bracha on Shabbat? So the Dubna Magid gives the following parable, mashal. He says it's the combination of the nefesh, the neshama, and the guf. He said, imagine you have a single father who has a son, and he married a single mother with her daughter, and they had a happy family together, him and his son, her and his daughter. And then they started having shalom bayit problems. Why? Because the mother saw that the husband is giving more pocket money to his son than to her daughter. So why not treating them equally, Oh, he's older, she's younger, he's a boy. No, why are you not treating them the same? And then the father sees that the mother, she kicks the girl what she wants, but doesn't cook the boy what he wants. He said, why'd you spoil your daughter more than my son? And they had the shalom bayit problems. But until one day, the daughter and the son, they grew up together and they married themselves. They got married. And then the parents had shalom bayit. Why? Because now the mother, whenever she saw the father's giving more money to the son, she's happy, that my daughter's going to get more, and she has more parnasah, and whenever she gives food to the daughter. So okay, my son is going to have a good, happy wife. He said, that is Shabbat. So the whole week there's a conflict between the guf and the neshama. Right? The guf wants to enjoy the pleasures of the body. The neshama wants the pleasures of the neshama. On Shabbat, there's a harmony. Everyone gets pleasure. There's a harmony between the guf and the neshama. You eat good food, you wear good clothes, you sing songs, you say divrei Torah, the family's together. Yeah, the neshama and the guf go up together. Everyone is in harmony. And there's a sense of harmony and having a break. What does it mean? When a person doesn't go to work, so it gives you a break. And you come back on Sunday, come back, freshy to start work again. Or maybe Monday if you're working. Mondays you have a weekend off. But even on the things that the Torah said not allowed to do. For example, it's very healthy that you stop, you take a break from your laptops, from your phones. There's no ringing, you don't see your messages. And there's a whole day of taking a break. And then Motzei Shabbat, you switch on your phone, and then, you see the messages of people that sent you after, let's say, they Kabel Shabbat. For example, in Israel, so I see when I switch on my phone, I see messages that I got Erev Shabbat from my parents before Shabbat. Or, when they switch on their phone, so they see what I sent them Motzei Shabbat. But it's like refreshing, you welcome your phone again when you switch it back on Motzei Shabbat. And you see the messages that you've received after. And it's like the fondness comes back. When you have too much of one time, you have your favorite food every day, steaks or pizza every day. You get sick of it at one point. You don't enjoy it anymore. You need to take a break. Same thing with the Shalom Bait. That's the whole halachot we have of the halachot of family purity. You take a break, and then there's like a refreshness of rejuvenated. If it's too much, you get sick of it. So maybe I want to introduce the concept of the Maharal. And I think I've said it before in different versions. I'm going to have like a small addition now. When God created the world, He created the world with the letters of the Torah, the Aleph Bet. And each letter corresponds also to its number. The numerical value has its power. So, for example, the physical world and physicality represented by the letter Vav, Chomer. Vav, what number is Vav? 6. 6. 6 represents the physical world. In English, we call it 3 dimensions. But each dimension has 2 sides. Okay, so for example, you've got four sides: north, south, east, and west, right? Or left, right, back, and front, and up and down. Right? If you imagine a cube has got 6 sides to it. So every 3-dimensional cube has got 6 sides. So that's why it's called the number 6. Number 8 represents the spiritual world, like the angels. They're above the physicality. And that's why the number Chet, Hanukkah is for the miracles of the 8th day. Also, the number 8 is represented by a figure of 8, which just continues going around on and on. Hasn't got dimensions. Even though the numbers that we have today, they're not sourced in the Torah sources, but it actually comes from the Arabic, the numerical value, number 8. Nevertheless, but it's divinely inspired also that the number 8 continues and always goes around, almost like a circle. Like a track that keeps going around and around. So the spirituality is the number 8. 6 is the physicality. What's the 7? 7 is the spiritual aspect inside the physical aspect. If you imagine like the cube that we said, so the 6 sides and what fills up the cube with ruchaniyut, with spirituality, that's number 7. That's represented number 7. And there's always a conflict in the world, which way to go. What should we do with our lives? If you go to the Western world, just enjoy life. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we will die. Yeah? Just eat as much as you can, enjoy pleasure, but you lose the pleasure by that. How much can you enjoy it? You get sick of ice cream at one point. Yeah, you just get sick of even the Torah tells us somebody, you do with your wife too much, you don't enjoy it. You have to stop, take a break from that. Even Shlomo HaMelech says, Davash matzata ochol dayeka. If you find honey, eat what you need and then stop. Pentis ba'eno ve'keto. Maybe you will come satiated and you'll sick it up, the honey. That's why I said just have enough that you can enjoy it. A teaspoon of honey. Don't eat too much. On the other hand, you've got the Far East, the Buddhists, that they completely separate themselves from everything in this world, right? Even there's laws of how much assets, possessions a Buddhist is supposed to have. He's not allowed to have any assets. He has to, not allowed to have any money. He's only allowed to have one clothing, one set of clothes that he wears, nothing else. And that's it. And even that's wrong. Shlomo HaMelech tells us in Kohelet, Al tihi tzadik harbeh. Al titchakam yoter lemat teshumem. Don't be too much righteous, more than what the Torah tells you to do. If this is allowed by the Torah, don't make it asur. The Torah allows you to have assets, and you can have possessions, and you're encouraged to have possessions, and that's natural. But it's a balance. In the Torah Judaism, we have a balance between both. That means we do enjoy the physical world, but we also have the spiritual world. And the spirituality fills up the physicality. We're supposed to elevate the mundane. That is really the whole purpose of Judaism. So whereas the non-Jews, they say separate from your wives and live a life of celibacy, but we say no, marriage is a holiness. And if you do it properly and you have a healthy relationship, you enjoy life the most. The happiest person is the person who lives the way of the Torah. He has a happy life in every single way, spiritually and physically. So this is represented by the Magen David. Magen David is a symbol of Judaism. You see that in every synagogue throughout all the generations everywhere, right? Where before they came upon the flag of Israel. But it was the tradition. Now, what is the Magen David made of? So if you're drawing a Magen David, it's made of two triangles. Two triangles, one pointing up and one pointing down. Okay, that's how you make a Magen David. Yeah. Can you imagine that in your mind? I did it with my fingers, but can you imagine it? Can I have a nod?
Yeah.
Okay. So the triangle pointing up, what does that represent? That's spirituality. Pointing up, spirituality. Pointing down is the earthliness, the physicality. So we have combined of both. When they both combine, the two triangles, then you're left with a six-cornered Magen David. And each corner is a triangle. And in the middle, you've got a hexagon. So the 6 days of the week, that represented by the six corners of the Magen David. And the seventh day is the middle. So whereas all of the days of the week, they draw out their abundance from the middle. That's how the Creator created the world. The 6 days is the physical day. Seventh day is a spiritual day, which fills up all the 6 days of the week. So the seventh day is a Makor HaBracha. That means you go out on every day of the week to work. Okay? But what makes it that when you go out to work, you're actually making money? How many people go out to work and don't make money? I know people for years, yeah? They went out to work and did not make money. And they did, almost work for free, trying to run their own business by just having loss. What makes a bracha in all of the 6 days? It's the middle, the center, the Shabbat, the day of Shabbat. And that on Kabbalistic terms is called the Malchut. The Malchut is what fills up the bracha on the other 6 days. So the Shabbat, when you honor the Shabbat, and you that's the source. If you can imagine like a spring, which springs up water, it's flowing water, and it fills up all the wells around it. Okay, so that Shabbat is the wellspring of bracha, and it fills up all the 6 days of the week. So that's why when you go out to work, you actually come back with money. But who fills up the wells? The seventh day of Shabbat. If you don't have a good Shabbat, then the well is going to be empty, or we're not going to have bracha.
On that basis, though, the entire Orthodox community who observe the Shabbat would have wonderful, with plenty of blessings and parnasah, but it's not necessarily.
So Yaakov's asked the question: does that defy why people are poor even if they keep Shabbat? So there's many aspects of keeping Shabbat. It's not just to keep the Shabbat, but it's respecting and have kavod for Shabbat. And also just one aspect, you have to appreciate there's also a lot of elements involved apart from Shabbat as well. For example, there's another malchut, which is the wife. In Judaism, malchut, interesting why it's called malchut in English would be translated as
royalty?
Yeah, maybe royalty. Malchut.
Or kingdomship.
Kingship, maybe. Mauro, can you help us out? Translate malchut. Kingdom, maybe kingdom. Kingship, royalty, that's malchut. So in Judaism, the wife, interestingly enough, is called the malchut. right? Now you may be smiling, maybe think, okay, the wife rules the house. Yeah, no, everyone has their position. But in Judaism, if you fill up the malchut and you give that its respect, like you give Rosh Shabbat its respect, you give the wife respect, that brings to richness and abundance in bracha. And it goes together, healthy marriage, healthy parnasa, same thing. And the Gemara says clearly in Bama Metzia, respect your wives. That's how you become rich. Because it's the same aspect according to the Kabbalah. It's the malchut. She's the makor of bracha, like Shabbat is makor of bracha. So it goes together. Now, let me explain what does it mean, bracha? How do you explain bracha? Bracha is made of 3 letters, core letters. Bet, chaf, resh. Okay, bracha. Bet, resh, chaf. Those are the 3 letters, like Baruch. Or Bechor. Bechor is the firstborn. Firstborn, he also gets the bracha. He gets the inheritance. He gets doubled. Now, if you look at the letters, Bet is 2. Right? 2 is double than the first letter, Aleph, which is 1. Right? No other numbers is double of the number beforehand. 3 is not a double of 2. 4 is not a double of 3. 2 is a double of 1. Chaf is 20. Chaf is double of the letter Yud. It's double from 10. And Reish is 200. It's a double of Kuf. So you've got the Baruch is represented by 2, 20, and 200. All double letters, right? That's the first one that gets double. So how do you get Baracha? Which means that you enjoy the money, you get more money value for your money. Okay, so if you can imagine somebody earning, I don't know, £2,000 or 3, then the bracha from that is like he earned £4,000. But the opposite true. Somebody who earns £4,000, he got no bracha, it's like £2,000. You know, Hashem got many ways to take away money from you. Yeah. You know, one time you buy a car and the engine goes. Okay, that's it. How much did you spend on a car? How much did you spend fixing it? Right? Or, you know, wife comes, I need dentistry. You know, dentistry, how much does it cost dentistry? It could be in the thousands. So there's many ways, but bracha is to have the bracha in your money. So we've explained Shabbat and we explained the makor bracha. Maybe I'll just end up with 2 short stories. One of them is my cousin Dudi Ben Chaim. He lives in Petach Tikva. He's about my age. And he said about 10 years ago, he started a partnership in business. And he was young, and it was like the first 100,000 shekel that he made, he invested in a business. 100,000 shekel, we're talking about in English money, maybe in those days, something between like 15 and 20,000 pounds. Okay, which is a nice amount of money to invest in a business as a partner. So he was a partner. And then he says his business partner said that, you know, you have to come in on Shabbat. And for whatever is in the business. And, you know, one Shabbat she called him up and said, listen, you're going to be on duty tomorrow. And he said, listen, I can't tomorrow. And then the next week he says, okay, it's your turn tomorrow. He says, yeah, but I can't because he made up another excuse. And then after 3 or 4 times, she said, listen, you can't do like this. You know, you have to be part of the business. You have to come in and work on Shabbat and take over, look on the business. He says, listen, how can I do this? He went to speak to his rabbi. Always a good thing to do. And his rabbi said, you know, is there any way I can come and look over the business without actually doing anything wrong? And he says, listen, I can't allow it. So he decided, and this is where brave of him, you know, being young at the time, being a lot of money that he had to spend. And he said, listen, I can't come in the Shabbat. And that's it. There's nothing to talk about. So she said to him, listen, we've got a lot of invested in here. If you're not willing to come in, then you're not going to be part of we're not having you part of the business. That's it. And he left. Now, I'm listening to the story and I'm waiting for like the happy ending at the end. You know, it's like, okay, and then what happened? Nothing. He goes, what do you mean nothing? He goes, what happened to all the money? He goes, I lost it. I'm like, you lost 100,000 shekel for Shabbat. He's like, this, I'm missing something. It's like, there's no way that you can end off the story with like losing money. Yeah. I said, but since then, you know, has God paid you back? And he says, it just went like this, like that, like 10 times.
Why?
Do we lose the rabbi?
Is it your wedding anniversary today?
Huh?
Your wedding anniversary today?
Mine?
Yeah.
No.
No. I made a note.
She just left me. She just left me, and I didn't see that money again. And I was like waiting to see, God did not leave you stranded for 10 years. Don't tell me you lost that and you became poor. And he said, no, God paid me back 10 times the amount. He didn't say it, but he just waved his hand like that. And he's saying that, he's become, Baruch Hashem, well off in the past 10 years. And that just goes to show the same story that we're saying the whole time. That God takes care of the people. You do the right thing. You go in the right way. Like Yitro, you get rewarded. God does not stay in debt to anyone, and especially those who go faithfully and honestly and truthfully in his ways. So, we've learned today in the shiur about Yitro, about being honest, about the company with the toilet paper that God, made them famous in the article and got the money back. And we learn about the Kedusha of Shabbat and how the Radbaz got extra years of his life for preparing Shabbat early. And we explain how if honoring the Shabbat, making Shabbat special, that's what gives the bracha for the whole week. And having too much of one thing, you just get sick of it. But the perfect balance is in the Judaism, how we have goodness of everything, not too much of one thing, all in one go. And we have all the pleasures of life. And we have the bracha of Shabbat, gives us bracha in everything that we have during the weekend. Also, we learn about the importance also of Shalom Bayit and giving the respect to our wives. But giving respect to your wife, it's not for like a selfish way because, I want to be rich, so I'll give respect to you, I'll be nice to you. No. I want to make money, so, be nice to my wife. That's not why we respect our wives. And it's not even out, okay, if I don't be nice to her, then she's going to go mad at me. That's also no kind of relationship. You still with me?
Yeah.
We have to remember to be good people. That's what we're trying to be. Be good to your wife and have the recognition of Hakarat Hatov. She gave up her life to be with you, to follow you where you are. She's the mother of your children, a good wife, and she tries her best. Might not manage everything to do. She's not a magician and not an angel, but she's trying her best. And yes, out of your good heart and character and will, to recognize the goodness that she has, to make her appreciate it and feel good for that. Not to get anything back, just to be a good person. And you will get back, that I can guarantee. So I hope you enjoyed the shiur tonight. And I want to thank everyone for listening and thank you for joining us. We'll do a few minutes of halakha.
Thank you, Rabbi. Most enjoyable. Very nice.
Thank you for joining us, Yaakov.
Could we go back to think his problem?
So let's start with that. Yeah, let's start with your question.
Yeah, lad.